I posted a video Jana. Today is on let me just check the date. Let me check the date. When is today? Today is on Wednesday, 5th of July. Wednesday, 5th of July. So Jana, I posted a video on my TikTok and I said this year I have survived a suicide attempt, and I've talked about it in my other videos. If you're new here, you can check it out. I can't link a specific one. I think I just drop hints in oh yeah, there's a video I could link. But I was saying that this year I have survived a suicide attempt, and if nothing else, I'm proud of myself for being alive. Yo, last year broke me. It broke me in so many ways. It broke me. It broke me. It broke my heart. It broke me. And right now, I'm like, I am not the strongest person there is. But I have tried to pick myself up in this couple of months. I have tried. I've been praying. I've been crying. I've been journaling. I've been taking myself out. I've been taking care of myself. I've been overeating at times. Other times trying to diet. Like I've been through it. Just trying to hold myself together and keep myself together. And I think right now, the one person I don't want to lose is myself. Like the one thing I don't want to do is go back to where I was and go back to that darkness. Like I never want to do that, right? I never want to do that. So in as much as right now I am not in isolation and as I used to be, I'm still so cautious when I'm stepping out, and I'm still so cautious when I'm literally doing anything, because I'm like, is it gonna trigger me? Is it gonna send me back to where I used to be? And God has been taking me to spaces that I was wounded in a lot, and I think that I have healed at such a young age, and there are things that I've dealt with in my 20s right now, in my early 20s, that most people in their 50s haven't dealt with. And it is hard to spike conversations, and there are conversations I would love to be part of, but yeah, because of my age, it's like you just get looked down on. And it is so much, many people in my age, I think, haven't tapped into the level of consciousness that I have tapped into. And once you get there, you're able to see things differently. You're able to understand there are certain things once you go through, and once they happen to you, you wake up, but all in all, I give credit to the Almighty, because in as much as I was wounded, and there are so many things I went through and that could have tainted me and damaged me as a human woman, I think He showed me how to navigate through it all. He showed me how to go through the process. And this is for anyone that might be struggling with suicide. When this year began, I was clueless of what to do with my career or with my life or with anything really. I just left for home. I was home and bleeding, and I had to ask myself really hard questions, like, let's say you're never gonna have a job. Let's say you're never gonna make it. Let's say this is all that you'll ever have. Let's just say there's nothing more to your life. Then what? Let's say you never have kids, you never get married, and all the things that you're supposed to have. Let's say you never get that. Then what? Like, is my life still worthy? Even if nothing? Like, I don't know if you get me. And I looked at myself and I said, yes, my life is still worthy. Even without the titles, my life is still worthy. And that gave me the strength to wake up again. And it gave me a strength to live again. Not for anybody else, not for anything else, but for me. Right? It gave me strength to live for me. Now, when certain things get pushed on me and people wouldn't understand why, most people think I'm spoiled. And it's like, nobody will understand why I care for myself so much. Nobody will understand why I don't want to do some things that might seem normal. Nobody will get that, because I am in a really, see, when you break something so much and you maybe just plaster it and to keep it together, it becomes, in as much as it's held together by tapes and all this, it's still fragile, right? And I think that is how my heart is. And so I have to be more careful than the normal person. I have to be more careful. I have to do things that may seem, you're just spoiled. I might need to be to myself in a way that is not maybe socially acceptable. And that is okay, because when I was going through a tough time, nobody was there for me. If anything, most people were tearing me down. Most people were part of it. And I learned to heal, and I learned to lift myself up without even getting an apology, without even getting a shoulder to lean on, without getting an, do you want to talk? Are you okay? Right? Why am I sharing this again? Because God, throughout this process, I have seen God. Throughout this process, my relationship with God has been enhanced in a way. I remember one time I was crying in our kitchen at home, and I was asking God to change my situation, but then in the middle I stopped with whatever I was asking him for, and I was just like, you know what, it does not matter if my situation changes. It does not matter if I never get out of here. It does not matter. That doesn't change that you are God. It does not matter how I feel or what I'm going through. It does not change who you are. And I think saying those things gave me more trust in God, right? And every time I'm going through a tough time, I know it does not matter what I'm going through. It does not matter if it changes or not. It does not matter. What matters is that there is a God, and He has allowed me to go through this. It must be. So yeah, my phone just went off. So I was like, if God has allowed such things to happen to me, or has allowed me to go through such things, then there must be a reason, or there must be a purpose to it. Because one thing I know, or I've seen throughout the few years that I've been on earth, is that God doesn't waste anything. It doesn't waste nothing in nature. Even if you look at nature itself, like nothing ever wastes itself or goes to waste. So if there's an experience, if there's a moment, if there's a word, if there's an experience, if there's something that He has done in my life and something that He has said in my life, it's not gonna go to waste, and I just hold on to that trust. But yeah, it has been a really hectic time. I've lost contact with a lot of people, and I've come out of a lot of toxic relationships, and I feel in a way God was just grooming me for wherever it is that he intends for me to be. And for me right now is just to trust, because there are times I'm like, I'm never going back there. I'm never doing that again. I'm never doing that. But I see God calling me to do that, or to go back there again. And what I'm learning when I'm in spaces that have wounded me before, I was listening to Sarah Jakes Roberts, and she was talking about glory trigger. And I think that word was literally meant for me, because and as much as I'm going back to these places, I'm not going back the same person that I used to be. I'm not going back there the same way that I used to be. I'm telling you that God has transformed me entirely. There are things about myself that I didn't even know were possible. There's a way that I never saw myself, but He saw me that way. And I think in a way was just trying to help me see me that way through this period of total isolation, and through this period of I think I was just shedding a skin of, like snakes go through a period of shedding of their skin. There are things that I just needed to shake off of me. And the funny thing is, I didn't see a problem with that. I didn't see a problem with certain things that were in me. And it wasn't really a problem. I can't say it's a problem because throughout my entire life I've been walking with God. Even when it didn't look like it, I was still praying. I would be in a club, I'm partying and I'm dancing to whatever song that is there, and in my heart I'm saying thank you, God, for an opportunity to experience life like this. I take every moment in life as an experience, and I think it helps me in a way. So I don't think there was a problem with it. I just think there are certain levels you can go, because I was a bit naive and in a way, just my head in the clouds. And I think God was just pulling me down to show me, you can't be like this for the next period or forever. I'm calling you, and I'm like, okay, God, I trust you. I trust you. I don't see it, but I trust you. It doesn't look like it, but I trust you. And that is just something that I'm really, 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 really grateful that I had the privilege again to experience. And I had the privilege of God looking at me in such a way, or handling me in such a way. I just take it as a privilege, and it's an honor, really. Yeah, there are certain things that I look for in a permanency, or when I'm maybe asking God for something, because I love to be specific. I'm like, this is what I want. This is what I want. So now I was writing down a list of things I would like in. Okay, so this is how it came around. I was just thinking, like, everybody has a prize there. Everybody has a prize, right? And I was like, okay, what is your prize? Like, when it comes to men and when it comes to relationship, like, what is the extent that someone would go and you literally fall for it? And I was just writing a list of things, and ah, I can share them with you maybe in another video, but not this video. Yeah, I was like, I'm writing down this list and like ABCD and ABCD. And you see how God says that you will know them by their fruits. And I think when people talk about knowing the people of God by their fruits, we mostly maybe look at the way they dress and maybe the way they live. And it's like that the real fruits, it's the inner work. How do they treat themselves? How do they treat other people? What extent and what depth have they met themselves? Like, that is the key thing for me right now. When I meet someone, I want to know what type of depth, like how deep have they gone with themselves? Because people will only meet you as deeper as they've met themselves. And also, whatever anyone sees is just a reflection of who they are. So if someone has not gone through the healing process, if someone has never been wounded before, or if someone is just delusional and just living in their own world, ignoring everything that happens to them. And that is one thing that I've realized: the secret is not in ignoring anything that you feel. The secret is looking at it and sitting with it and learning to deal with it and learning to see what it teaches you. So it's like, I want to know how deep you've met you. Like, it's not even about us. How deep have you met yourself? How deep have you gone into knowing your core, the core of who you are? How deep? And if it's like level 2, I'm like, oh, you need some work. I'll pray for you. Need some work, but I cannot build a relationship with you because I know I'm gonna trigger you, and in some way you're gonna spill, or you're gonna get me dirty in a way, and I'm not strong enough to deal with that. I'm also learning to put myself first and learning to say, that's not my problem. Like even if I'm in a space to help, it doesn't mean that I have to help. It's like, what does it require from me? Am I ready to give that and not just ready? Am I willing to give that and not just willing? Do I have the capacity and the strength to handle the outcomes, whether positive or negative? So if I don't, I must stay away. I will watch anyone deal with their own problems. It doesn't come from a place of I did it on my own, do it on your own. It just comes from a place of knowing that it's not always my responsibility to try and heal other people. Like sometimes you need to take that walk on your own so that you learn, so that you understand. Because I feel for me, if I no, I would have wanted someone to hold my hand at some point. And I was writing this in my diary, and it was just I was in a space, right? And I'm saying, I'm really honest with myself, and I'm like, okay, what do you need right now? And I wrote my dad, right? And another voice is asking me, okay, what would you tell your dad? And I wrote the things that I would have wanted to say. And in writing those things, I got the answers to whatever it is that I was writing and releasing. And I thought, this is the most beautiful experience and patience and kindness I've ever given to myself. Because you know what? There are times you go into the life and it's like you have to have it figured out. You have to have it figured out, you know? Like there's no room for you to be anything else but perfect. And one thing that I've learned throughout this process and this period is to allow myself to be imperfect. There are so many things that we are taught to be ashamed of that are not things that you should be ashamed of. Like there's nothing wrong with crying. There's nothing wrong with being confused. There's nothing wrong with no, not knowing and being naive. Like it's part of life. You learn through life and you grow through life, right? And in as much as it has been painful, it has been helpful. My phone is going off, so yeah.